your show.
OMG. First of all, congrats on the film. Beautiful movie, beautiful story. And this is a first for you all from what I could research. Max and Lauren, this is your first like performance in a big feature. And Jonathan, this is your first film you directed. How much of an intimidating experience or exhilarating was it for all of you?
I think it was a mixture of both.
Yeah.
It's both. I describe it as like being on the most amazing roller coaster. You know, at one moment you're having the time of your life, and it's this, and it's exhilarating. You can kind of go over a hump, and then you go, "I'm going to die. I'm absolutely going to die."
Get me off.
So it was both. You know, and I think filmmaking has that exhilaration and that fear.
But I think it has to be as well, right? Because
It
that's
has to,
what
yeah.
life's like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that I was
Yeah,
very much, like,
exactly.
tried to zoom in as much as possible and was like, I'm just going to go to set and I'm going to say my lines and I'm not going to think about anything else than the bigger thing and the fact that it's going to be a film.
The great Judi Dench says, "Fear is the fuel," and that really does help. You know.
For sure. And one specific question for Jonathan. What were the biggest challenges you would say in transferring this story from stage to screen in terms of your storytelling abilities? And of course, you had to shrunken the story down just a little bit. But what would you say were the biggest challenges you faced when shooting this film?
I didn't find it a challenge in that sense. I actually found it as exhilarating. I found it like an opportunity to actually open up, expand the story, expand the vista, use the close-up to get right into the soul of the characters. And also and in some places deepen, because I really feel that when it came to the relationship between Hugo and Jamie, we created a whole new song there in which we deepened that relationship, and it just gave more and more and more opportunities, which I just loved having. You know, so I found it exhilarating and not particularly. Of course, filmmaking is a challenge in every sense, but I didn't see it that way. I saw it as an opportunity to open up and share it on a big platform.
Yeah, and you did that, through these beautiful performances, the beautiful characters, and you guys share a beautiful friendship on screen. Did you know each other before the film at all, or was that just organically generated?
Yeah, I think so. We
We were like from opposite sides of England.
Yeah.
Very much did not know each other at all before.
I met Lauren in her when she was because I'd already got the job and I was reading with a few pretties. I was dating a few, sorry, Lauren. Not joking. But I met Lauren and I was so like, I'm rooting for this girl. Like, and I said to you on your first audition, I was like, come on, like, yes, let's go.
He went, "You're doing so well."
I was like rooting for her, and we moved up to Sheffield together as well. Like Lauren moved from Bolton, I moved from Basingstoke, and we lived there for the whole summer, and we spent the whole summer there together. And
Yeah, it was like, and it was especially because it was both of our first times. We really did like lead on each other, and even now, I think we're still very much like, this is a bit insane, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
For sure. And something that I really liked about the film, being very vague about the conclusion, because we don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it very much practices what it preaches about acceptance and welcoming of every people. And I think it's important, a certain character in there that gets shunned for their actions through the film, but it also gets a place to be welcomed in. Was that always an intention from the first draft of the script? Or was it something that the script kind of evolved into?
It was the intent from the very beginning. The intent was for me. It wasn't going to be a coming out story. Jamie was openly gay and comfortable in a sense with that, and Pretty Pasha, a young Muslim hijabi wearing Muslim girl, was very certain about where she wanted to find herself as well as a doctor, and. So I also wanted to make sure that Jamie was also never a victim, particularly, you know, because very often in this scenario, it's either a coming out story or particularly with I don't think I've ever really seen a young effeminate hero lead a story, you know, and to have that very central, it was really important for me. So it was just the most beautiful opportunity to let that and. Also to reflect the world in which we all live in. You know, the world is this now, you know, and for me, to find its universality, that Jamie isn't just, isn't just a queer story. This isn't just a young person's story. This has a story that is universal, that can speak to many people. And at the center of it is joy, you know, and how a community can shift and move and create a safe space for a young person to take their place in the world and find their joy, you know, out of the darkness into the spotlight.
Yeah, and I think the character, the moment that I think maybe you're talking about, the characters are, and people are so complex, right? So like we're trying to give people like a 360 view of, you know, maybe people act out in certain ways, you know, because they're experiencing things themselves at home that maybe they're not showing right away. And I think maybe in the moment that I think that you're talking about, which is a moment after the fact that goes towards the end of the film, you know, my character sees myself in the other person and sees them as an outsider, and wants to open and welcome that, and to, you know, to not shut that off, you know.
We all have to make shifts constantly through life. You have to shift, you know, and we've lived in the world of entrenchment, that one side is opposed to the other side. And actually, this hopefully says we have to shift, we have to listen, we have to, you know, embrace and hold and accept. And hopefully that's why it feels such, hopefully, a universal story.
For sure. I felt that. Once more, that's my time. I want to thank you guys for giving me a little bit of yours. Thank you so much for your answers, and congratulations on this beautiful movie to all of you. You deserved it.
Ren, a
Thank you
pleasure
so
to meet
much.
you.
So much.
Take care.